one, it's all for one, and one for all for life. Together we will fight.
Your battles will be...
Welcome to Fantastix. My name is Paul Morrison, and we are here to talk about the musical Little Women. It's being presented by Shire Music Theatre, and we've got Emma, who's in the role of Jo, and Jess, who's in the role of Meg. So thank you for spending some time with me today. The last time I saw you both on stage was in the show Heathers.
Yep.
How does the relationship you have in Heathers compare to the relationship you have in Little Women?
It's quite different.
Okay. Not surprising.
I mean, not to mention, the era itself is incredibly different as well. But I think in that situation, Heathers, obviously, we were frenemies and then friends.
Yeah.
And now we're sisters.
Yeah.
Which is lovely.
Is there a frenemies aspect to this show as well?
Like to us personally, or like...
Oh, just as characters.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. No, I think Jess's character Meg is very lovable and beautiful, and Jo is like the complete opposite.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. They do clash though.
Yeah.
They do clash.
And how has that sisterly relationship translated to your, real life relationship?
We're good mates.
Do you get along? You're good mates?
Yeah. We pay each other
it's
out
really easy.
on the regular, so I think it works for a sister relationship.
Because Little Women is basically about four sisters dealing with poverty and family within the Civil War environment.
Yeah, and just being women in that era as
and
well.
and growing up as women. Yeah,
exactly.
So with that in mind, the people that are familiar with the novel, what are they going to get out of the musical?
Well, Jess, do you want to answer that?
I was going to ask you.
Jess hasn't read it yet. She's got a beautiful copy of the book.
It,
she hasn't read it yet.
but I haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
I will before opening. But
Yes.
no, I think it's they get a more modern aspect, I guess, on the tale, even though it's still set in the same time period. Obviously, the music's not from that time period. It's a bit more contemporary.
Okay, yes.
So they're getting. I guess it's more relatable to today's society, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah, and I think adding on top of that as well, I think musically it's really interesting the way they've juxtaposed the characters in terms of so Jo's always been the more forward-thinking sister in the books, and anyone who knows the story knows that about Jo. She's a very progressive woman for her time, as was Louisa May Alcott, who wrote the books. And the music itself sort of makes a commentary on Jo being the progressive one. All of her songs are a little bit more modern than the rest of them. Yeah. So you get a good mix of the era, the music that's written around that era, and then music that's written specifically for Jo that's a little bit more modern and gives you sort of an insight into her head and the progressive way in which she thinks.
Yeah, sure.
So.
Okay, and with it being a period piece, what can we expect from for example, a choreography point of view? Because Michael Astill is the choreographer in the show.
I think Michael's done really well with capturing the period, and like he said the other day in rehearsal, it's more about having fun as sisters. It's not like a dance show. People don't know it as a dance show, but it's more about just having fun with your sisters, and he really does keep to the period and the style of that.
Yeah. And the joy of it as well, I think, and that again, playing back to what we were talking about with the book, there's a lot of joy in the story of Little Women with the sisters and their relationship and how they get through the challenges they're dealing with at the time. And I think the choreography plays so well into that and into portraying their joy just to be with each other and not need anything else.
It certainly is a heart show.
Yeah,
there's so many strings being pulled throughout the entire production itself.
Yeah, which was revolutionary for its time, that story, to be about women and to be about feelings and heart and everything, rather than the drama and the guts and gore of a lot of the stories that were written by men at the same time.
And Adam Foster's the musical director, and the music is also a very important part of the show, being a musical. What can we expect? You said that it's a very modern, the music is more modern than the actual period that it's in. But are there harmonies and are there ensemble, not necessarily ensemble, but are there big group numbers and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Adam's really strict on it as well, so he makes sure that the harmonies are perfect before we move on. And I know Five Forever is one of those songs that I love singing because it's 5-part harmony. It just sounds so great. So definitely music.
The ensemble works beautiful. I think he's worked really well with us on blend and
excellent.
cut-offs, which is like my favourite thing. Like when an MD sits there and he's like, no, cut off, they're like, yeah, thank God. So good. So yeah, he's doing a great job.
Excellent. And of course, the director being Meg Day, she always brings something special to the stage. She always interprets something in her own special way.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming Little Women is no different.
Of course, I think. I'm sure Jess is the same. We both worked with Meg on Heathers. That was it. Had you worked with Meg before that?
No.
So it was the first time for both of us, and I feel like once you've worked with Meg, you just want to keep working with her. So when you see her name attached to a production, it's a draw card on its own. And I think it was for me. And knowing Meg's love of literature as well was a huge thing for me too, because I love this story, and I grew up with this story. It was my mum's favourite book as well. So she's brought that knowledge not just of the musical but of the book itself and the story, and like she works with us a lot going through scenes in the book, and she'll compare them to the scenes in the musical and work through us character development wise as well. So
little things that weren't necessarily written into the musical but were in the novel that she's weaved into it just to build it up a little bit more. Little like nuances like Beth with her dolls, like things that aren't in the musical, and I think it's just made it really special.
Yeah.
Excellent. So within the Fantastix getting to know your interview process, I always play a game, and that game is called Fantastix Tick BOOM.
Amazing.
So I'll get my little prop out of my pocket and I'll
equally
give that to you.
terrified and
It can be scary and terrifying all at the same time. So how it works is you just push that little burgundy button, but not yet.
Okay.
I'll give you the category, you pass it between the two of you,
Yeah.
and whoever is holding it when it blows up loses. So because you're sisters in the show, it doesn't actually blow up. Let me make that clear. Just makes the noise. So because you're both sisters in the show, I'd like you to say ways in which people can be related.
Oh God. Okay.
So when you're ready.
All right. So we're passing it back and forth, and then
You're
when it stops.
When it blows up,
Okay.
whoever's holding it loses.
Oh, okay.
So push the button,
okay. All right, great.
and you say ways in which people can be related.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And we're just passing it back and forth the whole time. Okay. Okay. Father,
Mother,
sibling,
daughter,
niece,
uncle.
nephew.
Cousin,
Oh my God. Great grandmother,
niece,
grandfather,
great grandmother,
great aunt,
step uncle,
stepmom,
twice removed cousin.
step brother.
I
Keep going to this. You can't say I don't know.
No. Oh,
Sound
Emma,
effect and everything.
Emma won, well done. That's
I knew that was going to
There's
happen.
another version of Fantastix Tick BOOM. You both did very well. It was a bit of a tougher topic, but that's okay. So thank you for spending some time with me on Fantastix, getting to know Little Women. It's being presented by Shire Music Theatre. It's on at Sutherland Memorial Arts Theatre, and it opens on the 11th of October. And all the booking information will be on the little comments that go with this particular video. So thank you for your time today, and until next time,
Thanks for
be
having me.
fantastic.
Bye.
See you later.